The Royal Blue Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Agenda Podcast, a podcast where you, the listeners, send in the questions and you, the listeners, set the agenda. I'm Ian Croll and I'm joined as ever by Connor O'Neill. Connor, how are you?
Not too bad after Saturday.
Not too bad?
Not too bad.
Oh, come on. You
Slowly getting over it. I think the fact, there's a game so quick after, the setback on Saturday, sort of makes the mood a little bit brighter.
Yeah. Well, let's just quickly, before we've got a load of questions that have been submitted via the Royal Blue Facebook page, but just got a question of my own, Connor, for you. You said last week that you ate humble pie. You thought that, we all thought that this could be, or last week's result was turn the corner as such, and then we go and get beat by Brighton. Okay, a few mitigating circumstances, but just what are you feeling at the minute?
I mean, it's mixed really, because you kind of look at it from a perspective of, Silva was 10 minutes from looking like a genius because he brings a substitute on. He pretty much scores with his first touch. So if we see the game out from there, Silva, will get picked up and it'll be, a masterstroke by the manager to do so. Instead, it was just a throwback to the dark times that we've so far had this season. And when the penalty was given, and we'll get into the penalty and the VAR decision, etc. shortly, but when he conversed it, I was watching at home, and you knew it was a big 10 minutes. You knew it was massive because you knew we had to weather the storm, because obviously Brighton were going to have the tails up. They were going to be going for it. They were going to play on the front foot, and you thought, we've got to weather this storm now for 10 minutes. We've got to stay strong. We've got to prove that ultimately coming away from the game, VAR cost us. Because if we draw 2-2, you can rightly point and say, well, we would have won that game 2-1 if it wasn't for that decision. Instead, we just completely crumbled like we have done in recent, especially on the road so far this season. We just crumbled, and in the end, it turns up with our captain turning the ball into his own net, and the most frantic last couple of seconds. But we just looked, dead on our feet towards the end. I mean, you see the winning goal. Their left back goes charging up the pitch and plays a nice ball down the line. But you look at us running back, we just look dead on our feet. I don't think we've got anyone we're all over the show from a shape and defensive point of view, and it just becomes frantic. And we've seen this Everton team, it can't really cope with frantic. It's at its best when it's controlling the pace and it's controlling the play, and when everything comes 100 million miles an hour, we tend to struggle. And that was ultimately what happened in them last 10 minutes on Saturday. And we're back at square one now. We are back at square one. Tomorrow's Carabao Cup tie home to Watford is massive. It's one we can't lose, and we've got to bounce back on Sunday against Spurs as well in the Premier League, because we are nervously looking over our shoulder. I mean, at one point yesterday we was in the bottom three when Newcastle were winning. So we need to get back on track in the league, because we have got a tough run of games post the end of November going into December over the Christmas period. So we need to start getting points on the board quickly. Okay
then, nice little an analysis and round up there. Question time then. I'll go with the first question, Connor, and then obviously you can then go and ask a question I'll answer. So Callum Lapsley submitted a question via the Royal Blue Facebook page. Are we cursed?
Yeah, no, I think we all say we are cursed, aren't we? And we all say it's only Everton, but that was a shocking decision, the VAR decision. But like I say, I think what's equally as worrying is the way we crumbled and we concede the winner. So in terms of are we cursed, probably a little bit, but I think we also are the makings of our own downfall at times. I think we are the club who tends to shoot ourselves right in the foot.
Absolutely. Next question from Anthony Michael Knowles. Connor,
how did we lose that?
Yeah. Swear word in that question, but we're respectable, aren't we? Bit of decorum in this podcast, so we won't swear. Anthony, I mean, we lost it because, one, we conceded a silly goal from a set piece, as in our keeper should have saved that, without a doubt. Obviously, when that happens, you're always going to ask questions of your keeper. It was nowhere near the corner. The guy hit it well. It obviously had pace, power, but for it to practically go through Pickford's hands was nothing short of shocking. Really, I was very disappointed in that. So we've conceded a goal there. We've obviously I felt once we conceded, we started to play a lot better. I felt the first 10 minutes, I thought we were poor. I thought this is just going to be a typical, Everton, Marco Silva team display. There wasn't no urgency. Conceded the goal. We then started to play better. We came back into it, go 2-1 up. And then, without making too much excuses, obviously VAR has well and truly smacked us in the face. We are a club of firsts, and I think it's the first time this season that VAR has been, a decision's been overturned, from a referee.
It was, but it's not now the first and the only, because there was incident yesterday.
Yeah, in the Arsenal one.
And also at Norwich as well. I think Daniel James got a penalty.
Yeah. But it's no coincidence that there's been calls this week, in the build-up to this weekend set of fixtures, that, people have said, why aren't decisions getting overturned and questioning, and then bang, slap three decisions over the weekend. It's just crazy. If anyone thinks that's a penalty, they don't know football. Football is a contact sport. If I got up and stood on your toe, I very much doubt that you would literally fall over. I think I might hurt you, don't get me wrong, but the Brighton forward has jumped up and then he might have been hurt and he has been contacted, but it's a contact sport. For me, he's gone over, and I want to call him a diver because he has been touched, but what is the sport coming to? So we've had that VAR decision, and like you said, it's just got completely frantic. We haven't been able to compose ourselves, and we've conceded from arguably a ridiculous own goal, and that's pretty much how we've lost the game. It's very, very frustrating.
I think just while you're on this VAR rant and while you're in full flow there, we'll ask the next two questions together because they kind of tie in.
Go on.
The first one is from Matthew Barry. How long till a set of supporters turn up at Stockley Park and smash the VAR truck up? And then Carl Oscar Luberg asked, was it the penalty that killed us? Rhetorical question, of course it was. Massive boost for Brighton. So you touched on it there, VAR over the weekend, and the penalty decision itself. Yeah.
Well, firstly, Matthew Barry has asked that question. Conveniently, he's not even in the country. So he said, he's basically insinuating violence there on Stockley Park, and he's not in the country to do so. Well, we don't condone at all.
Does not condone,
but like I say,
anyway.
It's convenient that he's not in the country and he's asking these type of questions. Well done, Matthew. I don't know how long it will be until a set of supporters turn up.
I actually think,
I'm sure it's not far off.
I actually think though there was times over the weekend where it actually proved its worth.
I mean, the VAR debate.
There was times where it was used correctly and it was used in the right manner, and you thought, yeah,
it's going to work.
That's got the right decision there. It comes to the right outcome.
I mean, that's a whole nother podcast. It's a whole nother topic. It's a whole nother debate. For me,
yeah, I mean,
no, but very quickly, VAR works for offsides. It's actually definitive whether it's a centimetre, an inch. It's offside. You can't.
But technically, it does it? Because Saturday's Aston Villa Man City game, the lunchtime kick-off.
Yeah.
David Silva was given the goal.
Yeah.
Because was the ball hit, but he was offside.
But was it checked with offside though?
Yeah, it was, but the ball didn't hit David Silva. But then the Premier League didn't give the goal to David Silva.
But what I'm saying is, so, through the line, where if your foot's over, then that's where then it's the people who were running this VAR, which we all know at the moment is a set of referees.
It's just more confusing in the fact that the penalty instant, but you got an instance at the Etihad where the VAR deems that Silva's not touched the ball.
Yeah.
So it's not offside. He's not. But then the Premier League then give the goal to David Silva because they believe he did touch the ball.
Yeah.
So it
should have been offside then.
It should have been offside. So you got one. Yeah. But it's perspective really, isn't it? I think the big thing about.
Well, did he touch it? I haven't seen it.
It's inconclusive, to be fair, from what I saw the replays of it. It's a matter of people's opinions and perspectives. And I think going back to Matthew's point, that is the thing with VAR. I think if your side's on the wrong end of a call, you do feel the edge to hit out, but I'm sure if your team's been, Brighton fans probably say, well, VAR's done its job the weekend because we got a penalty. So I think the whole.
But when it's so subjective when it comes down to penalties decisions, isn't it? Because if one person thinks it is a penalty who's on the pitch, another person hundreds of miles away thinks it is a penalty. Do you know what I mean? It's how can that be fair? They haven't introduced the monitors. This season for VAR, and they are doing that in the Champions League in Europe, aren't they? Referees going over to the sideline and double checking. It obviously it needs a lot of work. it's not the finished article by any means, but why have they introduced it into such a high-profile sport when it's clearly not ready? But I mean, we can go down to Stockley Park, me and you, and Matthew when he's back, if he wants to, and have a little go. Got a couple of baseball bats there. If
I think I'll pass on that.
Yeah,
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Is that what it is? Okay.
But I think going back to Carl's question there about the penalty killers.
Yeah.
I think you touched on it there, and it did kill us, didn't it? It turned the momentum, it turned the tide, and ultimately Everton all of a sudden from looking rosy 2-1 up, looking solid, looking compact, substitutes making an impact, look dead on the feet, look ragged, lost the shape, and crumble like we've seen so many times before in the road this season. Yeah,
that is an excuse, and it's a valid excuse, obviously, because of what happened. But I think that just goes to prove the mentality of this team and the players at the minute, that we probably did start to feel a little bit sorry for ourselves. Like you said, we were dead on our feet. We did probably did enough to win the game, and we were winning with obviously minutes to go, and that goes and happens. But teams concede all the time. Decisions go against you all the time, whether it's VAR or not. The referee could have given that penalty. Okay, he didn't, but it still wouldn't have been the right decision as a penalty. But it's how you react to that, and quite clearly we didn't react in the correct manner, did we?
No.
Okay, next question. I'll read it out for Connor. Martin Jarvis. If we were to part ways with Marco Silva, are Everton now a less appealing prospect to potential suitors than we would have been at the start of the season?
I don't think so. No, I don't think we are. I think, we're struggling. We look a little bit imbalanced squad wise. I just think there's still question marks over certain areas of the pitch where we need to improve. But ultimately, we're a big Premier League club. We've shown in the past that we've got money to spend. Managers the last couple of years under Farad have been given financial backing to improve the squad where they see fit. We're a Premier League club. We get good gates. I don't think we are a less potential.
Is it a poison chalice job?
Not really, because I think if you can come in with get a team set up, get them team playing. I don't think it is. I think at the minute we're just kind of going over old habits, and we can't get out of them old habits, unfortunately. But no, I don't think we are a less. I don't think we have lost a little bit of kind of our ilk, should we say, than from the start of the season, despite the poor run of form.
I mean, obviously, anytime we lose it, I never look at the table. But a couple of Everton fans like to say, we win our next 2 games in the league. We've shot right back up the table. But it's just winning those games, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
It's easy said than done, isn't it?
And the game's coming up, obviously, it's a cup game next, but Tottenham's not going to be easy. They got beat against Liverpool, though. They proved that they're still a very decent team.
Yeah.
So that's not going to be easy. And sort of stat that Tottenham haven't won an away game since January.
January, yeah.
And the next away game is Goodison Park, so it's nailed on, isn't it?
Well, I think Stephen Grady asked this question. We look fragile. The team doesn't seem to respond to anything going against them. Is it no plan B? Player mentality, lack of leadership to really rally the players has to be sorted. No Marco teams come from being behind. Obviously in the league, we did in the Carabao Cup. If that isn't sorted, this team is never going to win anything. I think we've kind of hit a lot of the chords already regarding that.
Yeah, obviously mentality, no leader. You kind of said it all there.
I think these are running kind of problems that we've had since day one, really, haven't we, of the season so far, and
which have never been addressed.
And like I say, it goes back to still being major flaws within the setup of the club. And I think if the stat that we can't come from behind again, that kind of what I said in the opening gambit is, on Saturday you're sitting there with 10 minutes to go, and potentially we're going to win from coming behind, and
we go and lose.
Silva, all of a sudden, we've turned a massive corner by doing that. But no, we go and lose, and I think it's just the same old, isn't it? I think that's the issue, and I think that's what Stephen's trying to say is, will it improve? Only time will tell. I don't think, if it doesn't improve, I don't think Marco Silva will be there for long. If it doesn't improve, personally.
How much time did you, just not a question that anyone's put in, but just very quickly, how much time do you think he bought himself after the West Ham game?
Well, I always had concerns anyway after the West Ham game, because Brighton, that kind of spell of Brighton, Watford, Tottenham and Southampton comes so quick that, he wins there, but then, say we don't win another game, we get beat. Say we crash out the cup tomorrow night, which if I do think we get crashed out the cup, I think we should look to part ways with him anyway, personally. Yeah. Say we get beat by Spurs, and then, scrape a point at Southampton. You've only really took 4 points then going into the next international break. Yeah. That's not great from when you consider.
We did say before or just after the West Ham game that a lot of Blues did say they'd take a point at Brighton because that would mean 4 points out of 2. But then it was obviously mean getting through the cup and then maybe even take a point against Tottenham. But obviously you'd want to win. You'd probably say that as, consolidated and built a little bit of a foundation.
Well, I think if you'd have took, 8 points and progression, people would have bit your hand off because I think you would have looked, 4 from West Ham, Brighton, 4 from Tottenham, Spurs, Tottenham, Southampton. Ideally he's won 6, but doesn't always work that way, does it? So I think 8 points people would have been happy with cup progression. Now we've got a mountain to climb because we effectively need to take 6 points out the next 2 league games, which I think will be a tough ask. And obviously the cup game now tomorrow's massive because Watford I watched match today's highlights and they actually didn't look too bad against Bournemouth on Saturday. They looked okay, and that becomes to prove a point. There's no love lost between the two clubs. Nope. It's well documented
or they've been beaten by us this season.
The problems, they were probably a little bit unlucky when they come to Goodison. I think Pickford made a couple of good saves towards the end, so it's just massive 3 games now, and they will define Marco Silva's long term future because after Southampton we've got another international break. So again, it's a good opportunity if you do want to part ways with manager to do it then.
Okay. Ashley Stewart, next question.
Living in New Zealand, I get up every Sunday, our time, to watch Everton. Last 5-6 weeks have been terrible. I got a big Everton tattoo yesterday. Have I made the wrong decision?
Well, first of all, we seem to have a lot of Everton fans from New Zealand who listen to this podcast. I don't know whether it's because they're from New Zealand or, they reside in New Zealand, I don't know. But maybe it's because Everton are so terrible they decided to get away from the city and just move the furthest away that they possibly can. Have I made the wrong decision? Yeah, why not? Nah, you haven't made the wrong decision, Ashley. I think if you're going to support Everton, is it make the wrong decision to support Everton or make the wrong decision to get an Everton tattoo?
I think it's the tattoo.
Depends where you got the tattoo, I suppose, doesn't it? Doesn't really state where.
My decision. You've got to keep the faith. Keep the faith, Ashley.
Keep the faith, yeah. And never be ashamed to get your tattoo out.
Yeah. I think we'll quickly move on to Keith Sharple's question.
Yeah, Keith,
because we don't really want to come back to where the tattoo is.
No, yeah, you never know. Next podcast, let us know, Ashley, where your tattoo is. Send a picture as well, maybe. Okay, Keith Sharple's. Again, probably touched upon this slightly, but we'll go for it anyway. Once again, our old problems come back to haunt us. How can their mentality be improved as it's happening too often?
I mean, my opinion of this after the Burnley game is that we need to change the manager to change the mentality and the problems that we had. Saturday's defeat still makes me think that a little bit, that we need to change the manager because it's quite clear that the voice of Marco Silva isn't working.
Well, short term, we can't bring players in,
and he can't get the best out of these players and get them over the line when it matters most. So I think effectively a change of manager is needed to change the mentality. But in the short term, Silva just needs to hope and pray that he can find some form from somewhere and get him over the line till November, the next international break. Next question from Bridget Bryson. Is it right to blame the manager when the same players play so differently? Is it because he tried to please the fan base instead of planning a strategy to play Brighton? What would happen? What would have been a better sub to move, replace Bernard? Personally, I thought we did better in away form going behind than we've done for a while. The lack of support by VAR so swiftly, followed by VAR for them, what was made us fall apart, in my opinion. How does a manager make players want to win? They appear to support him, so...
Yeah, I mean... Obviously, long question there with a couple of questions probably on that one. I think
we touched on the VAR. We've touched on VAR.
On the VAR. I think following the West Ham game, I think quite clearly the players are fully behind Silva. That is without a doubt. I think you would have seen if that was not the case against West Ham. I think ultimately the buck stops with the manager, doesn't it? At the end of the day, he is going to take the flak. He, picks the team. I don't think. In reference to the question about trying to please the fan base, I don't think Silva's on Twitter every day looking to see what fans want to pick. I think he picked a winning team. He stuck with the West Ham team as best as he could. We obviously know Mina was injured and he had to replace Holgate, who, for all intents and purposes, actually played decent, actually got an assist, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? So he stuck with the winning team. He stuck with what he knew. Sigurdsson ended up coming on for Bernard. What other options did he really have to, other than bringing Sigurdsson on for Bernard?
I think first and foremost, you know, I think there would have been more rumblings from the fan base if he had to pick the same 11 at start. I know the Mina Holgate was enforced on him, but he had to pick the same players that he played last week against West Ham because they were so emphatically better than West Ham. You know, they produced the best performance so far this season. We were dominant from start to finish. And also, you know, you look at the impact Sigurdsson had last week when he came off the bench against West Ham. Silva's probably been hoping for that type of impact against Brighton. You know, Sigurdsson was excellent when he came off the bench, you know, scored an absolute worldie. So Silva's probably looking thinking, well, he done it last week when he come to prove a point, he's got even longer now. So I don't think you can knock his play selection. I think he ultimately made the right calls. And like we say, I think VAR did play a part, and you know, ultimately, unfortunately for Silva, you know, it's just another kind of cross when he needed. You know, he's kind of got no luck. I think, you know, his luck does seem to be out. I mean, you know, he looks like he's getting Bernard backfiring. He picks up a knock. Being probably our most consistent player so far this season, has picked up a knock. So I just think that, you know, sometimes you're just destined for no luck, aren't you? And I think at the minute Silva's getting very little.
Absolutely.
So the next question from Liam Fitzpatrick. Is it normal I'm not surprised by that game? I've become so used to Everton, it was just another day. Now this, I actually texted Mr. Croll on Saturday night saying how Everton was that, because I think every Everton fan sat there was not surprised in the slightest when they look back now on that Brighton game.
I think it's the most gutted I've been from a defeat this season, just because of the week that we've had. I think we all thought we'd turn the corner, and to go from, you know, 1-0, you know, deficit to be winning 2-1 and thinking, you know, although it wasn't the most eye-catching and amazing display, we thought we'd maybe grind out a win. Maybe that's what we needed to do, grind out a win and just say, you know, toughen ourselves up again in reference to mentality. It just obviously wasn't to be. You know, the footballing gods, the VAR gods, just obviously maybe, again, back to Callum Lapsley's question, slightly archaist at the moment. It does make you think. It really does make you think what certain things are going on, and you know, it is just another Everton day. It was just another Everton day. It was very, very hard to take. Even a draw would have been hard to take. It really would, because to get 6 points out of the two games would have been tremendous, and then to go into that Watford game, we can't do what the players did on Saturday and feel sorry for ourselves. Us as a fan base, as a club, we've got to pick ourselves up very quickly, because we go out the cup on Tuesday. There's a realistic competition that we can win, and we're already out of it by November. The next realistic competition that we can go and win is the FA Cup, which doesn't start till January, and usually we go out early in that as well. We've got to take tomorrow, Tuesday, very, very seriously.
Well, I just think that then, a question from Ashley Stewart, which will be fair down all this, but we'll touch on it now, because if Everton lose to Watford, should Silva lose his job? Is
that another question from Ashley?
Yeah.
Snuck two in there. Well.
If Everton lose to Watford, should Silva lose his job? My opinion is, yeah, he should.
Okay.
I don't think he necessarily will. He might get Sunday's Spurs game, but I think if he loses to Watford, the writing really is on the wall, and it's time to look to make a change.
I wouldn't be. I don't think you're too far off. I think if we lose to Watford, I think he'll be given Spurs, and then it's. I mean, again, we're coming up to it. We're actually coming up to it a couple of weeks' time in international break, aren't we? So again, there's going to be another 2-week period there where you'd like to think that the club are putting provisions in place for this type of thing, especially with the way form's going. We've said it time and again, you don't want, you know, the same situation as what happened a couple of years ago. I think first and foremost, let's see how we do against Watford and see what happens with that. I think we've got to go through, but if we get beat, it's going to be very, very toxic.
Carl Bloxman has asked, I actually feel okay about the game, even though we lost in such gutting circumstances. While it was a far cry from West Ham, we were very unlucky to lose. What does this loss do to the stability of Silva's position? Well, I think we just touched on it there, haven't we? I think if he gets beat tomorrow night with very little reaction from the players, he's under big pressure, and Sunday would be absolutely huge for them in every way.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
every way possible. And I
And
think,
it's not going to be an easy game, but none of them are easy games, are they?
No, I think you look at it, it's, even Southampton, we go there, the 10th of November, I think it is. They may have been beaten 9-0 by Leicester, but that one for Evertonians with much confidence because, they'll be looking to fight back, and it'll be the first time they would have played in front of their own crowd since the defeat. So I think it's all on tomorrow night, really. I think if they bounce back and put a performance in, Silva will get his time, but if not, I think they could be under real pressure.
Okay, that's it for your Agenda podcast. I've been Ian Croll and I've been with Conor O'Neill. Much appreciate you for listening. We've got the fan podcast, which will be recorded on Wednesday, due out on Wednesday evening or Thursday evening as well. I've got the Royal Blue podcast as well as previewing a reaction from the Watford game and previewing the Spurs game. Thanks for listening.
The Royal Blue Podcast.